PAAM National Convocation in Berkeley, California, 9 Pacific Islander and Asian American nationalities and ethnic groups converge on and around the campus of the University of California. They celebrated worship at First Congregational United Church of Christ in Berkeley, held workshops at the university, and shared communion at the Pacific School of Religion. Designed to reflect, model, and empower a multicultural and multiracial church, the organizers of this event put forward their vision for Pacific Islander and Asian American ministries in the United Church of Christ. First, identity, with the rich uniqueness of the diverse histories and cultures within the PAAM community. Second, foundation, which is built on the firm understanding that the local church provides a place to learn the biblical and theological moorings of the Christian faith. Third, energy, that values the gifts, vision, and vigor of youth and young adults who will carry PAAM into the future. And fourth, leadership, which is developed through concentration on the 3 parts of the PAAM vision: learning and understanding PAAM's roots, responding to the needs of local churches, and discovering the talents of youth and young adults. The objectives of this convocation brought together nearly 100 youth and young adults and more than 100 other adults from around the United States as they sought to become lights in a darkened world.
We have many identities, but for us who identify ourselves as God's people, as Christians, seeking justice is essential to that identity. It is not optional. For the same God who creates and calls us to be lovers, seekers, and doers of justice.
We needed to deal with some of the tensions that exist within our own group. Sometimes it's within an ethnic group of its own. But there are generational differences, there are gender differences, there are differences of language. This is just, say, within one culture, the Chinese culture. There's so many different languages and so many different layers of immigration patterns. There are a whole lot of things. So you just, if you mix Chinese with Filipinos and Japanese and Asian Indians and native Hawaiians and Polynesians, you have a whole breadth of differences. And somehow or other, if we could begin to bridge those and learn how to reconcile with each other, we might serve as a model for the rest of the church and, in fact, for the world.
Through this conference, I feel is just even the experiences of different light from the nations, like as all the nation, all the ethnicities presented about how they're light, and just especially to see the Marshallese and the Samoans cultures explain how the gospel was brought into their communities. That was especially powerful for me to see the way that God is working through different communities and building up those churches in that community. And I think that I'll definitely take back to even my friends back at school and just my church and things like that. And just as well as how the church is, trying to form leadership and, build up those kind of things. So.
Yeah, we are serving outside of the local church membership. That's why the feeding the hungry are outside of the church, the members of the church. If you're talking about people as a church, we are not serving our own, just our own people. So it takes, I think the term church is can interchangeably used.
It's time to worship God, but first let's pass the peace to one another. Will you all rise and greet your neighbors?
What is our covenant with God? What is the mission of your congregation? What is the ministry of your church?
My #1 dream was to reach out to the local churches and encourage them to come, make them know what PAAM is all about. And that PAAM seeks to reach out to everyone who are the Pacific Islander and Asian American ministries who are out there to share what they believe in, to share the joys and woes of the ministries, to share their gifts, and to share who they are, their culture, and their experiences.
The source of light that will encompass the servant will be none other than the glory of God. The source of light in the servant that will shine into places of darkness.
One of the ways we can build a better PAAM is to really strengthen the regions. And we have just started, the eastern region has just started, and the northwest region has just begun, and Southern California is trying to branch out more into Utah, where we have some churches now. But I think that we really need to go back to the grassroots and develop those regions.
Our bags are packed and ready to go. I'm standing here outside your door. Already, hey, to wake you up to say goodbye. But the dawn is breaking this early morn. The taxi's waiting.
This is from the Youth Young Adult Group B. Our first wish is a panel of the generations of group of representatives to discuss the issues. Next is a suggestion box so everyone's opinions can be heard. A late night snack bar, so no matter how late people go to sleep, they can always get something to eat. More singing, self-explanatory. One staff or a few dedicated to the youth activities, a full-time staff member who always represents us. More planned fun activities because kids always want to have fun and we haven't really done anything concrete like that. And more youth-oriented workshops, because we had a few comments that the workshops we signed up for weren't very easy to understand. So.
So this gathering, this PAAM National Leadership Convocation, intentionally, deliberately, and very clearly reminds us of this calling. It is a calling that we sealed ourselves with our baptism and our confirmation, and our having confessed our faith, our having said yes to God, to be God's people, to have the Spirit within us, to receive that Spirit, to be the delight of God's soul, to be called in righteousness, taken by God's own hand. Imagine that. Taken by God's own hand. Kept by God, God's own covenant people, which simply means you have a contract with God.
Leadership development was not only discussed and PAAM's objectives and visions revisited. The convocation became a stage where current and future leaders demonstrated their gifts and abilities.
Tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you, Lord, prepare.
From the east, the direction of the rising sun,